The Dark Feminine, who she is and why we need her. Let's begin. Who is the Dark Feminine? Is she cruel? Is she cold? Is she all-inclusive? Is she compassionate? We experience a bit of confusion around who she is and what she does. One of her top priorities is to crush untruths. One example would be the way she points out self-sabotaging behaviors to someone who is refusing to change their ways.
What are you looking at me for?
Some people get very defensive when they hear something they don't like, but the Dark Goddess isn't here to preserve hurt feelings. She's here to make sure you see your weaknesses so you can free yourself from them. These types of things are not done out of disdain or disapproval, but from a need to shed light on the patterns that are no longer conducive to our enlightenment. Each one of us has at least one thing we could stop doing in order to advance our health and happiness. If you can let the Dark Goddess into your heart, she will show you how to let go with courage, so you don't have to go into defense mode every time she speaks her truth. This is the classy way to achieve liberation. You may have met her, this darkly sweet Lady of Oblivion, at some point in your life. She could have been a woman who didn't have to say much, didn't have to beg for attention, or didn't have to aggressively pursue anyone or anything, and yet is admired, chased, or even feared. These types of women seem to have people at their feet when all they've done is just be themselves. This is the magic of the Dark Feminine. She draws you in. You get lost in her. She's the abyss into which you can't help but release yourself. This proves to us that since she is at the core of the universe, she doesn't scramble for acknowledgement or approval wherever she goes. This is the mindset you need to have for everyday life. If you have been interested in or drawn to the Dark Feminine Divine, then find repose in this truth. She is already in you, awakening your soul to a new life, new purpose, and a new mission. But she may be scary to some who aren't ready. Have you ever been the focus of someone's jealousy when you were just being yourself? Have you ever been accused of things that didn't make sense or things that never happened? This may be very intimidating to women who are afraid of what you're doing. Your qualities of beauty, intellect, cunning, charm, kindness would only be enviable to women with wounded feminine traits who feel they need to compete instead of unite. This is due to brainwashing. Your presence alone could reveal their hurt feelings about themselves that they refuse to address. This is usually when you start to hear rumors about yourself and also have uncalled for drama among women who you seemingly never had an issue before. The Dark Goddess will work through you and, in doing so, reduce your social circle by a great deal. Not everyone can handle your divinity. The beauty in this is that you will realize your position as a leader, so start giving yourself credit for things and start believing in everything you do. Give yourself permission to believe in your job on this planet, to bring the strong ones into their next phase, and to show the weak ones where they need to love themselves more. This is why there's no use in getting angry at women who are carrying around wounded feminine. They're hurting and they're afraid of your greatness because they choose not to see it in themselves.
Amen.
See, I'm nice. This could have been a lot worse, y'all.
But do you stab? I don't bite.
I don't know. The thing about Dark Feminine energy that pulls us into her is that she's everything we're afraid of, yet we deeply desire. We desire to not only meet her face to face, but to dive directly into her abyss, just to see what happens. She is everything you fear, everything you can't control, and everything you can't resist. She hurts your feelings, and yet you can't help but love the sweet disaster on her tongue. She's the core of the universe. She terrifies, tames, and transmutes. You can throw anything her way, and she will turn it into gold.
Amen.
She is eternal in her power, strong in her desire, and wealthy in her tact. You might notice natural representations of her in the dark tree line at dusk, in a dark, deep well on an old farm, in the vast remoteness of the ocean floor. And when you go into that thick night air to bless your eyes with that silver serenity in the sky, where is she suspended? In that black void we call space. What is space? We don't know every detail, but we do know that she goes on forever and can't be measured or contained. This is who she is. The eternity, the black hole, the deep, the dark and the spooky, and the ookie.
And a family.
Speaking of spooky, there has been an obvious rise in the interest in Samhain in all of her facets. She's climbed the ranks to nearly the most beloved of all of our American cultural traditions. This is a great representation of the dark feminine because, like the other things we've noticed, Samhain represents all things hidden and yet sought out, feared yet desired, repulsive yet enticing. We recoil at the sight of her morbid face, and yet we can't tear our eyes away for an irresistible need to observe more. Where does that need come from? We all have it. The human race is notorious for fearing the very void from which we've sprung. We despise it and yet forever seek to reach, just to see what would happen. This is how we know of our ethereal origins. We know all the answers we seek are within that void. You tasted oblivion before you knew your own name. What do you fear? We know that on the other side of courage is liberation. If we can glide through our fears of all the creepy, unknown, uncomfortable things, we could taste ultimate, limitless freedom. We'd no longer be anchored down by fears of what other people can't handle. This especially applies to exploring the self. If you can accept the challenges that the dark feminine deals you, if you can choose courage over patterns, if you can dive into yourself, meet your deepest, darkest parts, learn to understand them, accept them, and release them into her, you can achieve total deliverance. If you can trust the dark goddess to lead you into yourself, into the most ultimate void of all, and conquer yourself, you'll be absolutely unstoppable because you've solved the greatest puzzle of all. After that, everything is just a game to witness how many different ways you can win in life until you meet her in her true form, in the spirit world, the world from which we all came. Women especially, as we know, live life from a baseline of fear. We let fear make our decisions every day, and we don't realize it because we're used to it. We always think, oh, I hope so-and-so likes me, or, oh, I better get out of the way. Get out of the way? Why? Who taught you that? Just stand there and read the damn label in peace, okay? People can walk around you, just relax.
Or use your damn manners.
Yeah. Women have got to acknowledge the dark goddess within them if they want to control anything in their lives. One good example would be how women lose their minds over men. Because we do.
Listen.
All I'm gonna say is they're XY, not YY. So just, keep that in mind. No offense, guys, but X chromosome has to be at the core, so we would all die without it. I'm sorry. Let's talk about the physical manifestations of the goddess. For example, the portal, just like Patience was mentioning yesterday, that was really good. Portals can come in various places, by various means. You can see the goddess energy in a portal because it's a point through which you travel to a different realm, and since she represents transmutation and transcendence, studying portals is a great way to get to know her. Portals come in countless forms: wormholes, fairy circles, pools of water, mirrors, tree archways, doorways, and the female body, for example. Wormholes, should you choose to venture too closely, can take you to another dimension where there's no credit score.
Yes, girl.
Are you ready to dive in? A fairy circle, should you be witless enough to trample within its limits, whisks you away to a realm where I insist you partake in neither the food nor the drink, lest you intend to party for eternity.
Okay.
Do I get to stay like this?
Yes.
We're good.
Pools of water, especially in Celtic culture, can send you to another world where you'll never age. This is something I may consider because I'm somewhat vain. And that way, the only wrinkles I'd have would be around my sphincter.
Tell me you're a Taurus, we're not telling me you're
I was gonna not put that in, but now that I'm up here, screw it. Just say what I want. I never thought I'd be this comfortable at a microphone, so we're just gonna do this. But possibly.
Love this for you. Love this for you.
Mirrors can get you lost in a dream world where you can't scream or defend yourself against an aggressor.
Yep.
Trees whose branches form a natural archway can transport you to the same woods in another dimension, where you can see all various and sundry creatures, like gnomes, fairies, and the like.
Can I cook them?
Are they free range
I don't know.
organic? You gotta really marinate that meat if they're not.
I do not know if they are keto. You can try. But they would be free range organic. They would be. That would be good eating if that's what you want to do, yeah. And it would be free. You would be paying $10 for a carton of them, so.
And if I make them run, they're fast food. Yeah.
Lord.
You guys.
We had a Vegas breakfast, what can we say?
Yeah, we did. I've had such a good time since I've been here. I'm going to cry when it's time to go. I hate crying. I'm going to do it anyway. Doorways are what you pass through to enter into the astral projection side of things. I myself slam doors behind me as I return. The sound of the door slamming is usually what wakes me up. And finally, the female body, the most sacred portal of all. This is the point at which spirit takes on the physical form. This is where the spirit hears the heartbeat of creation, hears the medicine of laughter, relies solely on telepathy, and enjoys the comfort, safety, and freedom of floating aimlessly in the abyss. The amniotic fluid is the waters of chaos, where anything can happen, even creation of conscious life forms. The continuous attempt at re-entering this portal after you've come out of it is a clear demonstration of wanting to dive back into the sacred void, the unknown, the sprawling, breathing cosmos. This is the deep, dark, safe place where you can just be. No labels, no worries, no name, no nothing. This is the soul's liberation.
So you just described men, straight men.
That's okay. I love men. How do you think?
Men are great.
They don't love me back, but I do love them. Just have a hard time getting my point across, I guess.
You just gotta raise your vibration so you have a real God in your life.
Maybe. Another thing about dark feminine is that she pulls you into her. She can and will absorb you completely. When you are face to face with her, you are no longer your own establishment. You are a piece on the chessboard that is her cosmos. You are an extension of her that she's playing with, just to see what happens.
I gave her indigestion. I believe it.
At least you exist. At least you're there. You're doing something. Everything has its purpose. Women who operate this way are not afraid, and they're not hoping for the best, and they're sure not waiting for you, men or women. They are in control because when you look into those eyes, which are her pools of insanity and ecstasy, you get sucked in, just like you'd get sucked in through that wormhole. She absorbs you because she is all that is. She's at the very center of the universe, the core of creation, the fulcrum of life. She is the chaos of the first explosion, the same chaos that has always made sure people were fed, children were nurtured, traditions were passed down, and culture was understood and appreciated. She has always intimidated without resorting to violence. Her power and her influence is of the mental and spiritual persuasions. She has been assaulted and offended in every way imaginable, and yet she endures. No matter how much this world tries to erase her, her presence and support is always needed to sustain basic life. The dark goddess carries on forever and extends into all corners, all crevices, and all layers. She is offensive in her chaotic beauty. She is strong in her astounding perseverance, and she is unstoppable in her certainty. You are the dark goddess. Time to become the void.